Hello and welcome. I'm Art,
And I'm Tom.
and this is the Talk is Jeep show. Hey, Tom, how's it
Hey
going?
there. It's going great. How are you today?
Very well. We are recording this episode on July 24th, which happens to be dun dun dun
National Tequila
Tequila
Day.
Day. So it is only fitting. We don't do it every time we record a podcast, but
Yes, we do.
well, okay.
Just about.
But today is an important day to have a little toast to the
Exactly.
agave spirit. So I am sipping a little Arte Nam 1414, one of my last bottles of the goodness.
Of the goodness of Arte Nam, and I've got a little El Tesoro Reposado. I've been trailing back to the lighter repos lately instead of the añejos, so enjoying that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, cheers to you.
Cheers to you.
So this episode I had teased would be a discussion of tires. This whole conversation is really the build up to my trip out to the Rubicon, which is coming up in very short fashion.
Very quickly. Yeah.
Just about 10 days away.
Whew.
And part of the requirements for me to take my Jeep on the Rubicon Trail with Jeep Jamboree USA is that it has 37-inch tires.
So that's a big change for you.
Well, not a huge change. I had 35s on there previously. When I went to my local shop and I was talking about the tires, I asked them to look up the records about when I had the 35s put on, which was, like last year, and they only have 5,000 miles on them.
That's unreal.
I took a 5,000 mile set of tires off the Jeep and put bigger tires on just to do this Jamboree.
Right. But you need them, right? A requirement.
Well, it was a requirement. And I don't know if there's gray area. I don't know if there's, wiggle room, but I wouldn't want to take my Jeep all the way out there.
Right. You've got quite the journey ahead of you just to get there.
The time and energy to get my Jeep out there and then be like, nope.
Turn around.
If you watch any of the, Rubicon Trail videos on YouTube, I mean, plenty of people run them on 35s.
You can tell.
Oh, they talk about it. I mean, plenty of people run them on 35s. It's not like 37s are some magical tire size that, gets over every obstacle.
Right.
But I think it's just a way to, make sure the Jeeps are at a certain level of, upgradedness.
Right. They don't slow down the entire journey and, everything. They can expect certain things.
Right. I guess that's the thought process. So
would make sense. Yeah.
So with that being said, I had to make a decision about tires, and I labored over going from my factory tires to my Cooper Evolutions, which were the 35-inch tires I had previous. And I bought 2 sets of those. They were so good for me. The tires performed excellent. I was very happy with the first set of Cooper Evolutions that I said, hey, I'm not looking to change anything. I like the way they ride. I like the way they perform off-road. Had no problems with them, so I bought a second set when I needed to replace them.
Okay.
So, but I labored over that first set. I went and I don't know how you find it as far as buying tires, but the whole tire buying process is a little bit like a used car salesman.
Absolutely.
Type of thing. Like you go into a tire store, and if you're going in because like you have a flat or a blowout or something, you're really at the mercy of, what they have or what they're telling you.
Or who they have an affiliation with, yeah.
Right. Or maybe not even in a position to be able to do research on tires at that particular moment. Going into a tire store with no research is basically a crapshoot.
It totally is. Yeah. You need to know what you want, and hopefully you know the people that are going to do the work too.
Now, I will say this. I did try my best to reach out to some tire experts to have them on as guests of the podcast to talk about tires.
Yeah.
One big tire company just ignored me. Not even a response like, no, we're not interested.
Oh, man.
And another YouTuber who's very familiar with tires and talks a lot about tires on their YouTube channel just said, no, too busy. So,
Wow. I mean, the Jeep community is like, they're all out for the greater good,
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much. But I did a lot of research just on my own before I bought, the 35s, and I did some more research looking into 37. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've done to try to vet out the best tire for me.
Right.
But in doing that research, I realized that, there's not one, as they say, the expression, there's not one size fits all.
Right.
There's not one tire that you can say, oh, this is the best tire for everyone.
For everything. I know, and I'm looking forward to your description, because I remember when you got the Coopers, one concern you had was the weight of them and the drag and pull that it would put on your system,
Right.
the entire being of Snow Dog. So I'm curious.
Right. The good news is that there's a lot of resources out on the internet, a lot of good resources. And I don't know how much you're using, AI technology or these, AI chatbots, but they can do a lot of research for you, vetting out, sources, giving you their, where they're referencing certain pieces of information. So it's very easy to do research.
Are you finding it's good research, or is it high level summary overview?
No, you can basically make it suit you how you want it to be explained.
Okay.
So it's good. It's good, but you have to be willing to do the work, because if you don't do the work, you could have, problems.
Do you have a chatbot that you would recommend to the listeners?
I am using one right now called Perplexity.
Yep.
I don't know a ton about the background of the company, other than this is one that blends a lot of the large language models from various chatbots that are already out there, like Google's and Meta's. Right. So this one seems to be like pulling from multiple language models.
A host of different ones.
Seems to be pretty good. I've used it for a lot of things, but I've used it to help do some of the research that we're going to talk about now. So it's useful. I find it very useful.
Interesting. I'm sure the listeners will, to be able to dig down and find out some questions that they have, get answers to.
Yeah. So anyway, when I was looking for the next set of tires for the Jeep, obviously I knew it was going to be 37-inch. I knew that I wanted a mud terrain tire.
Right.
It's just the tire that works for me in my situation. And just to remind the listeners, my Jeep is not a daily commuter, vehicle. It's more of a recreational vehicle. I drive it when I want to, not because I need to every day. So mud terrains for me just are what I like. I like the way they work off-road. I don't mind the road noise.
It's a fun ride. It's a fun ride you're taking. It's not your daily
Exactly.
Right.
So I knew I wanted mud terrains. And then I sort of built a little list of, things that I wanted to, or what I knew, what I thought I knew, what I didn't know. I mean, I looked at Cooper's offerings. Now, Cooper Tire, which I didn't know, was an independent company. A lot of these tire companies started in Akron, Ohio, for whatever reason.
Huh.
I don't know why, but Cooper Tire was, started in Akron. It was an American company, obviously. They were later bought by Goodyear, I think, in like 21. So Cooper Tire is, I guess, Goodyear. but I don't know.
Everything's a conglomerate now,
I
right?
don't know what that means. I don't know if they're made in, a separate factory, or they come off the line with the Goodyears or whatever. I don't know anything
Right.
about what that means, but I did find that out during some research. But Cooper does make a 37-inch tire, not the same one that I have. I have the Evolution on the
Right.
35s. There is no 37-inch Evolution. They have a
Okay.
37-inch called an STT Pro. I considered that. It was one of my top contenders,
Okay.
but I'll get to why I didn't go with Coopers at the end of the conversation. I have no problem. I like the Coopers. I'd
Right.
talked to some people who had the STT Pros. They seemed to like them. A lot of people, had good things to say about them on the interwebs.
But obviously, you found something that might have hit your desire better.
Well, yes, it's a little bit of an asterisk as to why I
Okay.
didn't go with the Coopers. So I
Okay.
started looking at some of the other, tire companies, and again, without doing a little research,
Mhm.
trying to find information is not super easy. You can go to Cooper's website and you might find some of the information, but you're not going to
Right.
find in one place on a website like a complete evaluation of every single tire and their specs and all the
Right.
details. But there is and it might be circulated in other places, but I did find this on the JL Wrangler forums, which is
Okay.
a website. And I think they have them for JK Wranglers, probably have it for YJ. It's all the same family of discussion groups. They're basically
Okay.
web discussion
Yep.
groups. And someone in there, and I don't know who, but they put together a spreadsheet of tire specs by
Okay.
brand. And they really broke out a lot of the details that you need to compare.
Wow. A lot of detail. Holy cow.
So when you look at a tire, right, it has like three numbers usually. 37 in
Right.
this case by 12.5 by 17.
Yep.
Where 37 inch is the outside diameter of the tire, and it's really a category for the most part, because when you actually get into the actual overall diameter, it's going to be different. But as a
Okay.
category, they rate them just like 35, 37, 33, 31s. Sometimes there's like a 38, an odd one, but categorically, all the 37s will say 37 by,
Okay.
and for Jeep, 12 and a half, which is the width of the tire. 12 and a half is sort of the standard for Jeep tires. And then sometimes it'll be like R17 or 17. So 37 by 12.5 by 17. The 17 refers to the radius of the rim.
Inside the rim, right.
Inside radius, right?
Yep.
The rim size that you need for that tire.
Right.
So my Jeep has 17-inch rims, so I wanted a 17-inch tire. 37 inches the diameter, 12 and a half is the width of the tread. So, once you sort of know what you're looking for, you look at this spreadsheet and it gives you all kinds of details like the load range, which is, how much weight you can put on the tire. You actually get stats on overall diameter, which is the factual measurement, not the categorical measurement.
Okay.
So like my 35-inch Cooper Evolutions were not really 35 inches. They were like 34 and a half inches.
Okay.
Actual diameter.
Right.
But category wise, they're called
35s. Right.
So you got to think about all of these things. There's a speed rating, there's a load rating. I mean, some of this stuff they're really just numbers because a lot of them fall into the same category.
Okay.
I think where it'll vary, and again, I'm speaking strictly about my Jeep and let's say categorically, small Jeeps.
Yep.
If you had a F550, work truck that was pulling some sort of massive trailer,
yeah,
you would need a much different set of tires. Even if they were the same size as what we're talking about, you would need something with more plies and more load range and
Okay.
maybe different load index. We're talking about tires that are, mostly considered light truck.
Would you feel it's as detailed, say, in your Jeep, which is a two-door JL 6-speed, that if you were doing an unlimited that was bigger, would it need a different load range necessarily if it was
No,
outfitted the same?
I don't think so. And
Okay.
again, you're taking the advice of an idiot here. I don't know, but I
Who's
would
done a
say
little
no.
homework.
I would say no. I don't think it affects it greatly. I think most
Sure.
of the people that we're talking to in the Jeep space will have similar needs for tires.
Okay.
If you were, if you had some, very heavy duty built,
Right.
Jeep with 1 tons and whatever, like, yes, the weight might factor in where you would need a heavier, load rating on the tire. The tire that I chose is in the D range.
Okay.
Now, is the D range tire going to be stronger? Yes. But it comes
Right.
at the price of extra weight. And weight is one of those things that is not usually a consideration for most people.
The weight of the tire.
The weight of the tire.
Right.
And if this is your first set of tires, so when I had my stock JL Sport S on factory tires, I think they were Firestones, but I don't even remember now. That was a pretty lightweight tire on a steel wheel. Now,
Okay.
I went to a bigger tire with more weight, and I was concerned about the weight.
Right.
So one of my top criteria was to find a tire that was lighter than, most in that category. And I found the Coopers.
Right.
And I really bought the Coopers based really on weight and brand reputation of Cooper. I didn't know anyone else that had Coopers at that time, but I was going on the thought that I don't want to put too much additional weight on my, axles, my wheel hubs, the bearings,
Right.
all of that running gear. I was concerned. Now, that may not be I don't have any scientific evidence to back this up. It was just my feeling.
Question on that. In having done all this extra research now, do you feel like you may have overlooked something at, having had that such a high criteria, the weight of the tire?
No.
Have you learned anything else? Okay, good.
No, I think that was really the right choice.
Yep.
But this is what I will say, that as you go bigger in size, in diameter,
Yeah.
these factors go up exponentially, and it will become more of a problem, right? The bigger you go, the more weight you're carrying, all of that stuff. So anyway, I was concerned about all of that stuff. So yes, a bigger load range tire will be stronger. It'll have usually more plies. It'll be able to carry more load. But again, it depends on what you're doing and what your needs are. And this is where like no one can say this is the best tire for you, because you need to think about what type of driving am I doing with the Jeep, and what are the requirements that I need to do that. And I would say, I'm just going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say 80% of the Jeeps that I see are probably never going to hit the dirt.
Yeah.
So if you're one of those people, and I'm not judging, but if you have a Jeep and you just like the rugged look, but you're not doing any off-road, or you may dip your toe into it, an all-terrain tire is probably where you should be.
Right.
Like all-terrain tires are usually going to be lighter and better performing on the road, less road noise, all of these things. But these are questions that, like, I can't answer for you. Like, those are questions that every Jeep owner has to decide for themselves.
Right. And that's kind of the world I'm in. You know, we're beaching more than we're trailing, and that's what I've got as an all-terrain. And when I've gone on the trail, hasn't performed all that badly. I could probably use some more grab, but you've got a much more, aggressive thirst for doing some trail riding.
I do,
Yeah,
and so, but you have to. So the first piece of advice that I would say is to fit the tire to your reality of what you're doing. There's
right.
no point putting on, and I've seen people do this, a 40-inch mud tire on stock rims and all this stuff, stock running gear, and you're never going to off-road it. Like they're just doing it for the looks.
And the
You're going to
sound.
make a lot of problems for your Jeep,
Right.
down the road. All that extra
Mhm.
weight, all that extra like on a mud train tire, for example, you don't get as much tread life.
Right.
Like that's a fact. It's less tread life. So I think you have to look at these types of spreadsheets, and you can go on. You can probably Google search it and just say off-road tire comparison by size, and I bet this link to this spreadsheet would come up. I wish I could find out who published it, but I had bookmarked it, and it only goes to the Google sheet. So you can
Okay. So you
email.
didn't put this together. There's somebody put this
No,
together and
someone
you
put
had
this together.
access
I'm
to it.
not. I'm not taking any credit for it. Someone
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
put this
Nice.
together, and if you really want to, I'll share the spreadsheet to anyone who wants. Just send an email, talkusjeepshow@gmail.com, or hit us up on the social media channels, and we can send out a link to it's just on Google Sheets. It's public. It's nothing private. I just don't know who to give credit to.
Right.
So, with that being said, you need to look at those types of things. Like, for example, in the 37-inch tire category, if I were to look at the weight range of the tires, okay, the
Looking
lightest
now.
the lightest 37-inch tire is 55 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, but the heaviest 37-inch tire is 85 pounds.
Wow.
That's
That's a
a
huge
30
range.
that's a 30-pound difference per tire.
Right.
You think about
120 overall.
you think about driving that Jeep with an extra 30 pounds per tire. What that's doing to your brakes, your braking distance, your suspension, all of that stuff. Like that's going to play a big factor. Now, again, if you know what you're doing and that's the tire you want, like more power to you. But it is so hard. I'm telling you, just based on people that I've talked to, people are just going in and saying, "Oh, I saw this tire. I want that tire."
Right.
For no other reason than they saw it on a Jeep. They like the way it looks.
Or they don't want to do the research, and then they're like, I go into their local shop who's got an affiliation with maybe one or two manufacturers and say, I want to drive on this. And they're like, this is the tire for you. And sometimes that's all it takes.
So what I decided to put on my Jeep
Okay.
was the BF Goodrich KM3, the new generation of the mud terrain.
Okay.
The mud terrain tire from BF Goodrich.
Is that the mud terrain version of the KO2?
I mean, there's the KO3 now. The 3 is the newest generation.
Gotcha.
New tread design, whatever. The KM3 is the mud version of that tire line. And there were a couple of reasons that I like the fact that it's an American company.
Yeah.
I like the fact that, it's a well-respected brand. But the honest reason that I went with this over the Cooper is that I may not like driving the 37-inch tires after the Jamboree. I bought them to do the Jamboree.
Yeah.
Let's say that I come back and I just don't like the way that the Jeep rides, or it's again, it's a mild increase in size. In actuality, it's probably only an inch difference in physical diameter, but
Right.
it is a different tire. So in the back of my head, now you have to understand too, I had to get these tires before I could drive them. Right? It's
Right.
not like you can put them on and try them out and then return them. Doesn't work
Or
like
can
that with
you?
tires.
No.
Well, I don't know. So I decided that I wanted a tire that was desirable should I
Mhm.
decide to sell it when I'm done.
Right. And that
Like,
makes good sense.
like I'll be honest, when I show up at, a Jeep Jamboree or wherever with a bunch of other Jeepers, very few people are familiar with the Cooper tires.
Right.
Very few people. I have a set of 5 Coopers that I'm saving now because they
Okay.
only have 5,000 miles on them, and I may put them on my Jeep. But if I were to buy a 37-inch Cooper STT Pro
Right.
with the thought I might not like the 37s, I might want to go back to the 35s. I don't think the market for the Cooper STT Pro will be as large as the market for the BF Goodrich KM3s.
And that's a good market-based philosophy. A lot of Jeepers love the BF Goodriches.
The Jeep was going into the shop since the last time we spoke on the last podcast, which was
Okay.
almost a little over a month ago.
Okay.
And I was supposed to get the transfer case put in. I was supposed to get my rock slide engineering sliders repaired.
Oh, nice.
They weren't retracting properly. The motors were getting a little tired, so I had some work done with those. And they were supposed to do the tires. So we're going to do all of that work at one shot, and then I was going to
Okay.
get the Jeep back. I was going to take it out to the Coal Mountain Jeep Jamboree, which is in about a week of this recording. And I was going
Mhm.
to have my shakedown run of the Jeep with the new gear and the new
Right.
tires. And then I was going to come back, pack it up, put it on the trailer, and drive it out to California.
Feel confident. Right.
But that's not what's happening. To my surprise, the transfer case still has not been built. They're waiting on parts for not sure which parts, not sure what the delay is for.
No
We were
status
told,
update on that?
well, we were told 6 weeks. The order was put in on May 1st. May 1st plus 6 weeks is the middle of June. Now we're at the middle to end of July.
Right. Right.
Still no shipping. So it is unlikely I will have my new Atlas transfer case for the Rubicon.
Okay.
There's a small window. If it ships within the next few days of this recording, my shop said they will basically clear the calendar to get my transfer case put in if it arrives before I have to leave.
So no shakedown, but maybe a shakeup.
Maybe a shakeup. So anyway, I brought the Jeep in because I said either way I have to have the tires done and the steps
Right.
fixed. So the Jeep went into the shop. I've had the Jeep back for about 2 weeks. So I've driven around on the KM3s for 2 weeks.
Okay. How do you like it?
I like them.
Okay.
I like them a lot. They're quiet.
Really?
They are very quiet.
Ah, that's interesting.
And they fill out the wheel well just a little better than the 35-inch
The
tires.
photos I've seen, it looks great.
I have a 3.5-inch lift kit that was already on the Jeep.
Yeah.
The last time I, had the bigger tires put on, I already had the Jeep re-geared. And that's another thing too. You're going to go up, if you're going up from a factory tire
Right.
to a bigger tire, you're probably going to need to re-gear your Jeep.
Mm.
I had 327 gearing or something like that, 328 gears in my stock Sport, and I went to 456s. 456s with the 35s was perfect. 37s seems fine. Like it's a minimal increase in in overall diameter. So I don't think, the transmission seems like all the shift points are good. Everything like
Nice.
that seems fine. Yes, I did go up in weight. Obviously, the weight of the 37s is a little more than what the 35s were, but it's not, it's maybe 15 pounds
Right. Right.
different at most.
But in comparison with the other ones, even with the KO2s, it's only a matter of like a pound,
Yeah.
if that. They're
Yeah.
not that much different.
Right. They're not. They're not. So far, I'm very happy with the KM3s.
Nice.
And there may be a set of lightly used Cooper Evolutions on the Facebook Marketplace.
Send me
when I
that.
get
Send me
back.
that link when you decide.
So you have to take all these factors in. Like, do you have stock gearing? Do you have stock Jeep? Like there are things that you're going to need to do to, in addition to the tires.
Right.
Right. Like for me, because I already did all the work, the tire was really just remounting new tires. But if you did it for the first time,
right,
you're going to have new gears put in. Likely, you're going to need some sort of a JL Taser Mini or something to recalibrate your Jeep's computer to say you have bigger tires. Otherwise, your speedometer is all off.
Yeah, just use Waze.
Use Waze. And then you're going to have to consider, like, at some point, I probably will be upgrading my brakes.
Okay.
Not like getting new brake pads, but like actually getting new brakes, more powerful brakes, because,
right.
I think that's probably one of the next upgrades that it's going to need.
Needs for your off-roading. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, I have the tires on. The Jeep is basically just waiting for the transfer case. And if it doesn't get here, I'm going to California with a 273 transfer case in the Jeep.
And hoping for the best.
Yeah.
If you were to look at all these things that you've talked about, what would you say was the most important consideration you'd offer to someone doing this for the first time?
I would say, be honest with what your needs are for the tire. Like,
right.
Resist the cosmetic look alone. Like, just don't buy it because it looks good.
Right.
Like, you can find a good looking tire that suits your needs, but I mean, I think you do have to factor in so many things. I mean, honestly, if there was a sale on the Coopers, where it was like significant savings, like I probably would have went with the Coopers. Like, when you're talking like certain things, like, well, maybe there's a, $400 or $500 rebate. Like, okay, that might sway a close decision, but I think you have to first be realistic about what you want to do with the tires. Is it going to be off-road? Is it going to be in the mud? Right. Is it going to be doing, the Catskill Mountain Jeep Jamboree or the Rubicon Trail?
Right.
Those are different criteria than I'm just cruising around the mall, or I'm highway driving it 90,000 miles a year. Right. Like if you're highway driving it that much, you don't have time to off-road it that much. Like you need an all-terrain tire at the worst. You need all-terrain. You might want just all season. Right.
And yeah, you might. And one thing that I did when I got Julius, and some of our listeners know, Julius is an 03 TJ and was built up by a gentleman in South Carolina. When he initially put it together, he had 35-inch KO2s on it, but none of the additional things that would make it a little more user-friendly. And I kicked myself in the head and said, I'm really not going to need all of that height. My wife is 3 feet 2 inches. Not really, but I said, do you have any 33s? And he's like, yeah, I've got a brand new set of 33 KO2s. And I found that to be enough to suit my needs. It still looks good. And it's suited our needs for our level of Jeeping. Would I like the look of a 35? Sure. But I haven't needed it.
Right. Right. And again, these are individual questions.
Right.
And, look, I've seen plenty of people with crazy tires that shouldn't be on their Jeep.
Right.
But look, you want to do it, it's a free country.
Most people are doing it on their Broncos now, so I'm seeing that a lot.
So
no hate mail, please. No hate mail.
No. I actually had a Bronco guy give me a Jeep Wave.
Ah,
I gave him the finger.
Wow.
I turned around and started egging him. No, I didn't know what to do. I was all confused. I was like, buddy, you don't understand. You're not a Jeep.
I'm starting to think that there should be a limit to the amount of ducks that go across and over top of a dashboard. And, any more than 5 ducks, you don't get a wave.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just see what people think, but it can become an obstruction and a safety issue.
Put it out there on a poll. We'll see what the responses are.
Yeah. How many ducks are too many ducks?
Right. So that's where things are at. That's I'm basically ready. I would love to have my transfer case. I'll be honest.
Yes.
I would love to have that, but if not, I hope that it'll be here for my September Jeep Jamboree, which is the Catskill Mountains.
That's a favorite of yours too, I know.
It is. So if not, I'll have to just go back to the Rubicon next year.
That's it. There you go. For the true shakedown. Well, I hope it comes in. I hope you get the complete look you want for the shakedown and feel, and that you have an awesome and safe trip.
Thank you. And I'll be doing some. I don't know if there'll be any real-time updates, but I will definitely be recording as we're going. It's going to be a 4.5-day journey out there, and then 4 days on the trail, and then 4.5 days back. And my friend Pete, who you know is going with me, and we will be recording on the road. And then I probably will compile those into maybe an episode or two, pre and post Jamboree.
Yeah, I want the story all around it, the trip to and from, and definitely some stuff from there. I'm looking forward to that. My Jeep journey has really been hampered by the birds this summer, and it's getting longer each year.
Are they angry birds?
No, everyone else is angry. They're just thriving.
Okay.
But the piping plovers up here in the Northeast, they flock up here to hatch their babies, and they live and nest on the beach, right in the dunes, and typically right in the ORV corridor of many of our off-road trails going out to the beaches. So we're hoping and praying that before the first week of August, they will have all fledged and taken off, and that they open up the corridor. I want to get out there.
You need to introduce some land sharks to the beach.
Land shark.
Well, I hope you get Julius out on the beach.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get a Talk is Jeep podcast episode recorded remotely out there as a field trip.
I like the idea of that. Put some Starlink in Snow Dog out in Rubicon.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll do it.
All right, let's wrap this episode up, Tom.
Sounds good. It's been a great episode talking tires on Talk is Jeep, and tell us about your rigs. Tell us what you have put into your Jeep and considerations for why you have those giant tires when you're only on the highway, or what the right tire was, in your opinion, for your trail riding.
Absolutely. Okay. See you next time.
Sounds good. Take care.